Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So it's been a minute since I've posted anything or made any videos or done anything, and I was missing the feeling of making YouTube videos, and I have been reading a lot, so I just wanted to talk about the books that I've been reading. So this is my mid-year book freakout tag. I don't think I did one last year. I was trying to think, and I don't know if I started this channel. And I don't think I started this channel during that time. I might have done it. I don't know. But I wanted to do one this time, and I'm very excited to do it and talk about all the books that I have read. Also, we're not going to focus on the mess that is my desk over there. I know there's a lot of things on the floor and the wires, but we're not going to pay attention to that. So the first prompt is the best book I read so far this year, and I had a little bit of trouble deciding between a couple books, so I wasn't too sure, but I would have to say it's Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. Look at all of these tabs. Oh my gosh. Okay. I love looking at these tabs because they make me so happy, because it just means that like there were so many moments in this book that I either loved, which are like the pink tabs, or so many moments I just wanted to remember, which are the purple tabs, and then just a bunch of other stuff. Also the orange tabs, I think, was the orange tabs what I found funny? Yeah, okay, so the orange tabs were what I found funny, so I just, like, there was so much in this book. It was so witty, it was so well done, it was so well written, and I haven't read a Brandon Sanderson book since, because I think I'm scared that like I won't like it as much as I like this book. But this was amazing. I loved it so freaking much, and I can't wait to read more Brandon Sanderson. I'm just a little scared right now that I won't like it as much as this book, but I feel like I will, so I'm definitely going to be trying to read some more Brandon Sanderson soon. But yeah, best book. The next question is the best sequel, but I didn't read too many sequels during the first couple months. I honestly literally read a lot of first books of series and then never continued the series, because what I used to do was I used to read an entire series and I used to marathon the series, and then I realized that would just like burn me out, so I stopped doing that. But then I also stopped reading the second book altogether, so that's okay. I think the best sequel that I read either has to be Heartstopper. I read Heartstopper Volume 2 and 3, so those sequels were pretty good because I gave them 5 stars. But also, I don't know if these count as sequels, but they are novellas to Solitaire, so either of these would also be the best sequel that I read, because I loved both of them. Not as many tabs because there wasn't as many pages, but these were good as well. Okay. A new release that I'm excited for, I think, is the next question. It might be a new release that I read, but I'm just going to take it as a new release I'm excited for. The new release I'm excited for is The Jasmine Throne. This is a book that has an Indian author and also has, I think takes place in India, I'm not sure. And it's a fantasy book, and it's an adult fantasy book, and there's not many adult fantasy books that are by Indian authors that are popular in the Booktube community. And I think this book is going to be really popular in the Booktube community because it looks really good and it sounds really good, so I'm very excited for that one. And an anticipated release I'm excited for, I don't think I have any anticipated releases I'm excited for. I don't really read anticipated releases. I kind of just read, or I don't really read new releases, or I don't look forward to new releases because I'm so busy trying to catch up on older books that I want to read. So I'm not too sure. I'm trying to think if I have any. Oh, okay. I read These Violent Delights. No. Wait, yeah. These Violent Delights. And I am excited for the second book. Even though I didn't think These Violent Delights was the most amazing book ever, I still am excited to see what Chloe Gong can bring with the second book. All right. Biggest disappointment. The biggest disappointment was literally Call Me By Your Name by Andre Osman. This is a book I was reading in 2020 and finished in 2021, and it was just a horrible book to start the year off with because I didn't like it that much. It was not that interesting. I don't know what it was about it, but I just didn't find it amazing in any way. And there were moments that I liked, and there were moments that I thought were beautifully written, but yeah, I didn't like it that much. I expected to like it because I thought a lot of people did like it, and that's fine, but I didn't personally like it. So there's that. Biggest surprise. Okay, my biggest surprise was definitely the Folk of the Air trilogy. I read that all, and I do have a reading vlog about that I made, and I'm really proud of that reading vlog because I read all 3 books in like a good time span, which was really nice. And although I don't think every book was amazing, it was just a really fun time reading them. And I think her name was Jude, and I loved Carden, and I loved everything that was about that series. It was just fun, and it was a nice step back from reading such like dense books like I did at the beginning of the year. So it was just nice to go into it and have something light to read. It was dark. There did come moments when it was pretty dark, but overall, it was pretty light fantasy compared to some of the other stuff I was reading. Okay. My biggest surprise, I just did that. My favorite new author, okay. My favorite author is Alice Oseman. So I read all of Alice Oseman's books recently, like literally in a span of a month, I think. Yeah, I read May and June. All I did was read Alice Oseman. So these are all the books I read, and Radio Silence, but it's sitting up there and I didn't want to get it. But first off, look at these tabs. Look at these tabs. Look at all these tabs. I wasn't able to tab I Was Born for This. This is the one I most recently read, but I was on a trip and we were driving in a car, and I only read this on the car ride, like while we were getting to places, and I wasn't able to tab this at all because I didn't underline anything, because it's really freaking hard to underline things when you're in a car and going up a mountain, because we went to Sequoia. So that's that. But something about Alice Oseman is that she just knows exactly how I'm feeling and how it feels to be a teenager and how it feels to be just a young girl, and she does it so well throughout all these books. And it was just like refreshing to finally see like so much well done representation of a teen girl. And also there is a lot of rep of Indian people in her books, which I was finding so surprising because I didn't expect that. But then like there were so many moments where I was like, there's so many Indian people in all her books, and I got really excited about it because I was like, that's not the norm. It's usually like not Indian people who are represented in any way, and it was just interesting to finally see like a white author talking about Indian people in a way that made sense and that seemed educated. So that was really nice. I love all these books. I love all my tabs. She's just such a good writer, and I love her so much, and I'm so glad I read it. Like, I feel like I read every single one of her books at the perfect time that I needed them. Like Loveless, I read when I was just like feeling weird about going into college and just everything about college, and I read it in May, but I still felt like this was the perfect time to read it because I'm going into my sophomore year of college. What's her face? Georgia is going into her freshman year of college, but still it had that feeling that I wanted from college that I wasn't able to get because of the pandemic. So it really provided me with that. And then I read I Was Born for This on my trip, which was like a couple weekends ago. And recently my biggest obsession has been listening to BTS and watching like every single thing that they've ever been in, like interviews and compilations and a lot of the reality shows that they've done, because they have a lot of content, which I absolutely love. But also it makes me sad that there's so much content of them because they're always constantly being filmed. But that's another thing. But I love BTS so much, and this is about a pop rock band and also a fan of that pop rock band, and like she's a hardcore fan. So while I was going through the emotions of becoming a very big fan of BTS and being a part of the ARMY, I also got to experience that feeling through this book, and it was so interesting to see the perspective of the fan, but then also see the perspective of a boy in the band. I don't know why that took me so long to say, but yeah, it was so interesting, and it had so much about fan culture that I thought was so accurate and so well done, and it was amazing. And even though this is still a critique on fan culture, it is also like an advocate for the fact that like not every fan is a crazy fan that wants to go stalk a band member's house. It's just that that's how like teenage girls get labeled, and that's how everyone sees fans, because there's one person that does it that way. But it was really good, and it was just 5 out of 5 stars. Every single one of her books has been 5 out of 5 stars because she just knows how to make you feel things. It is just amazing. Okay, I need to move on. I've been talking about this one for a while. Okay, the next question is your new fictional crush. Now, my newest fictional crush is from Legendborn, which is the most recent book that I finished. This was an amazing book. I keep thinking about it like every single day since I finished it, which was only like 2 days ago. I've just thought about it so much, and I think it really, really is gonna sit in my brain. And I honestly, while I was reading this, I was like, I don't think I would be interested in reading the second book. Like usually I can tell, but then by the end I was like, I want to read the second book. I need the second book right now. But my biggest crush is from this book. And actually, okay, I just went on like a 5-minute talk about a person in this book that I absolutely loved, but I feel like that'll be a spoiler to what happens in this book. So I'm just gonna say that I like someone from this book and I have a fictional crush on them. And you can guess who that person is. You can guess who that person is. Because I don't want to say. Because I feel like if I say, then I'll spoil something. I'm not sure. But take a guess. Okay? Okay. It's from Legendborn. It's a guy in Legendborn. That's all I got. Okay. My new favorite character, that has to be, I already forgot his name. Oh, Lightsong from Warbreaker. I just thought he was super interesting. He had a really interesting character arc through this book, and I loved him. He was witty, he was funny, he was just an overall amazing character who had complexities that were hidden at the beginning but then slowly shone through, and it was great to read through his perspective in this book. Book that made you cry. I thought about this question a lot, and I honestly don't think there was a book that made me cry. Like, a lot of books were really hard-hitting and they were perfect for the time I needed them, and they were life-changing in that way, but there weren't any books that made me like tear up in any way or just like made me want to cry, because I realized that like I'm not really a crier for books, and I think I was like forcing myself before to cry over a book or be sad over a book because I thought that was the correct emotions to feel, but in actuality I don't really cry over books. I mostly feel really hardcore emotions for these books, but it's not really crying. It's more like that feeling of being understood or like being heard or just not feeling so alone, and those feelings don't really make me cry. They just make me somewhat happy, because it makes me happy to know that there's someone, maybe an author or just like people in the world that feel the same way that I do, and like that is like what I feel in Alice Oseman's books, but that doesn't necessarily mean I would cry over them. So that was a long way to say no, I don't have a book that made me cry. Okay, book that made me happy. An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. This was such a surprising read. Like, it was so good. Look at all the tabs. It was so good, and it had so much more than I expected, and it was such an unexpected book in that I had no idea where this was gonna go, and then it went to places that I couldn't have even thought of. Hank Green is such a creative author, and it was amazing and I loved it so much, and everything about it made me so happy. And all the orange tabs are places where I laughed, and I laughed a lot in this book. And it got the idea of YouTube culture and social media culture so accurately in this book, and it said so much in a way that also had a plot. And just there's a lot critiquing social media and internet culture and celebrity status culture, or social media star culture, and it does it in a way that also has an important plot. Like, it doesn't just tell you things, it also shows you things and shows you just this amazing story that I love so much. And I think honestly you should go into this book knowing nothing, because if you know too much, I have no idea where I was going with that. I completely forgot because I got interrupted. But this is a very good book, and it made me very happy to be reading this. And also, on a trip back from Joshua Tree, because my family went to Joshua Tree with a couple other friends, we were sitting in the car, and I got to explain the entire plot of this to my dad. And I think that's like a memory that I'm going to keep forever, because I just think it was so funny that, like, I was trying to keep him awake because it was like really late at night and he was driving, and it was like a 3-hour drive to like back to our house. And then I was just explaining the entire plot of this, and it's a really intense plot and it's really weird, so he was just like nodding along trying to understand everything I was saying. And it was just an awesome memory to have, and also just an awesome book to explain to someone, because it was so fast-paced, so well done, and I loved it so very much. Okay, books that made you happy, I did that. Most beautiful book. The most beautiful book I would have to say is a graphic novel called A Map to the Sun. This is about a group of high schoolers who are on a basketball team, and that is all I will say. That is all I will say. And the art style in this book is beautiful. If you can look at the cover, if I put a picture here, the light on me is kind of going crazy. It's such a good like art form, and I love it so much, and it makes me so excited to read more graphic novels because of the art style of this book. And I mainly picked it up from the library because of how it looked and all the pretty colors and stuff in the book. But once I read it, I also really loved the story. Where do I sit so the light doesn't get on? It was beautiful, and I loved it so much because of the art style. And the story inside was also beautiful, but mainly the art style was beautiful, and I loved it a lot. And yeah, I just have so much respect for artists, cartoonists, and designers, and book cover artists, because they really go hard on these books, and they do an amazing job. So, kudos to all of you. Okay, some books I want to read before the end of the year. This is the last question. I would like to read, I'm looking at one right now, Counting Down With You by Tashi Bouillon, I think is her last name. I might be wrong, but I'll put it up. And then also I'm reading Emergency Contact by Mary H.K. Choi right now. Completely loving it. I think it's going to be a 5 out of 5 stars. We'll see when I finish it. I'm halfway through right now. Also, I would like to read Permanent Record by Mary H.K. Choi. Girls of Paper and Fire. I have a list. From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout, Alatsaway, which is up there, Ember in the Ashes, Mistborn, The Raven Cycle, The Secondhand Green Book, A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor, and then Firekeeper's Daughter, which is right here. Look, okay, this is the most beautiful book too. Oh my gosh, this is, this is the most beautiful physical book that I own. This is, oh my gosh, this is just, I don't know how to explain how beautiful this book is, because it has embossed design, I guess, and then it's like shiny in places. That is a really bad description, but I tried. Okay, and then I would also like to read Jade City, so then I can read Jade War and then Jade Legacy, which I think is coming out at the end of the year. But that is the end of this mid-year book freakout tag. I hope you enjoyed. I hope I was able to give you a little insight on some of the books that I've read so far this year. I hope to read many more in the near future. and I've been really having a awesome time reading this year. I think I've been way more intentional with the books that I'm reading and way more purposeful with what books I'm choosing to read, because I don't do that very often, and I am very bad at understanding my own love for what style I like of reading and what genres I like. So it's really nice to finally be able to pick and choose books and actually fall in love with them and like them, and not read like 3-star books or like, I don't know, 2-star books, because I really like reading books that I really love a lot, but I hate reading books that I don't love a lot, as everyone does. But I hate putting an effort to read books that aren't that amazing to me, because then I just don't end up liking them, and then I'm like, what the heck, that was a waste of time. So I've been DNFing a lot more this year, which I applaud myself for. Okay, the light is going insane. Yeah, the light is going insane. Thank you so much for watching. I'm finally glad to be back on Booktube again, making videos, and I'm very excited for more to come because I do have a lot of ideas. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next video. All right, bye.